What happens to the souls of history's greatest villains after death? Where are Hitler, Stalin, serial killers, and bloodthirsty dictators now? The answer might shock even the most hardened skeptics. In the 1940s, famous American clairvoyant Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, made a sensational discovery about the post-mortem fate of criminals' souls. His revelations, received in deep trance states, completely overturn traditional concepts of divine justice. It turns out the souls of history's most terrible tyrants and murderers don't burn in eternal hell, but undergo a far more complex and sophisticated purification process. Cayce described a unique mechanism of karmic retribution, where each soul gets to not just be punished, but literally experience all consequences of its actions. Imagine Hitler's soul experiencing the full horror of concentration camps through the eyes of millions of his victims. But the most incredible part, even such souls are given a chance at redemption through a series of agonizing rebirths. Why does the universe offer this chance? How does this mysterious justice mechanism work? And what exactly did Cayce see in these souls' fates that made him completely reconsider the very concept of evil? The answers will change your understanding of justice and make you reconsider human cruelty's nature. In this video, we'll examine Edgar Cayce's shocking revelations based on thousands of documented cases. You'll learn about the so-called Hall of Mirrors, a special space where souls go after death. You'll see how karmic retribution works through examples of famous historical figures. You'll understand why even the darkest souls get purification opportunities. Most importantly, you'll discover how this all relates to us ordinary people living today. The video ends with a special test to help identify signs you might be encountering a soul reborn to work through heavy karma. Are you ready to learn the truth hidden from humanity for decades? Let's begin. Edgar Cayce was born in 1877 to farmer parents with no formal education. His unusual abilities emerged in childhood. He could memorize books by sleeping on them. His true gift awakened after age 21, when he began entering special trance states. In these states, Cayce diagnosed illnesses and gave remarkably accurate predictions, while remembering nothing in normal consciousness. Over his lifetime, he conducted over 14,000 documented sessions. Most readings concerned health, but about a quarter addressed global events and philosophical questions. In 1925, he founded the Association for Research and Enlightenment in Virginia Beach, which still exists today. His final years were devoted to studying reincarnation and the soul's nature. It was during the 1940s that he made his most controversial and mysterious recordings about criminals' post-mortem fate. These materials weren't published for years due to their sensitive nature. What made these revelations unique was that Cayce spoke them in full consciousness, not his usual trance state. Historians note that shortly before these recordings, Cayce unexpectedly burned some of his materials, then died suddenly months later. His final words about a door that shouldn't be forced open are often linked to this mystery of souls' afterlife existence. Modern researchers remain divided. Some consider these recordings keys to understanding divine justice. Others think them products of a disturbed mind. But the fact remains, many of Cayce's predictions about consciousness find confirmation in modern quantum research. Edgar Cayce described a unique post-mortem retribution system radically different from traditional concepts. His visions revealed a special space, the Hall of Mirrors, where criminal souls go after death. Here they undergo not punishment, but profound realization through complete identification with their victims. A murderer's soul relives its crimes from the victim's perspectives, experiencing all their horror and despair. This mechanism operates with absolute precision. There's no closing one's eyes or escaping these experiences. It's especially intense for souls responsible for mass crimes, forced to simultaneously experience all their victims' suffering. Cayce emphasized this is karmic law's natural working, not punishment imposed by external forces. The process duration depends on the soul's readiness to accept truth. Stubborn souls may remain in this state for centuries. This explains the purification through suffering concept found in many cultures, reflecting fundamental spiritual law. The key difference from traditional hell is the absence of eternal torment and the possibility of further development after full realization of one's actions' consequences. Edgar Cayce categorically rejected the concept of eternal damnation, offering instead a revolutionary view of the soul's nature. In his system, the soul is an eternal fragment of divine consciousness that may slow its development, but never loses transformation potential. Even the darkest souls committing horrific crimes eventually begin changing when fully comprehending their actions' consequences. This purification process may take enormous time, hundreds or thousands of years across multiple specially arranged rebirths. Cayce explained the eye for an eye principle isn't spiritual evolution's true purpose. The universe seeks not punishment, but balance restoration through profound understanding. When a soul finally realizes its true nature and connection to all living beings, a qualitative leap in development occurs. This is why the system includes no eternal torment. It would be meaningless for spiritual growth. Instead, there exists a complex but fair mechanism giving each soul precisely the time and experience needed for full realization. This process resembles education, where the soul sequentially masters all lessons until comprehending their essence. The key difference from religious hell concepts is the focus not on suffering itself, but its transformative power, leading to genuine enlightenment. Edgar Cayce paid special attention to souls committing the most monstrous crimes like Hitler or serial killers. After death, these souls face unique trials shaped by their own choices and actions. Their main problem is incredibly strong ego and pride, making them deny guilt for decades or even centuries. They enter a special limbo, not traditional hell, but unable to progress spiritually. Cayce described this as existence in an energetic vacuum, where the only reality becomes nightmares of their own creation. These souls literally relive their crimes scenarios, but now from victims' perspectives. Over time, even the most stubborn souls begin softening under this experience's weight, though the process may take incredibly long. Such souls' peculiarity lies in their colossal energy and power, once directed at destruction, now becoming their curse. Cayce noted the vaster the crimes, the longer and more complex the realization process. Some may temporarily attach to locations or people, unconsciously trying to continue destructive activities, but with severely limited influence without physical bodies. The main hope, according to Cayce, is that even these souls eventually begin changing as their defense mechanisms and denial gradually crumble under truth's weight. Edgar Cayce detailed the rebirth mechanism for souls who committed grave crimes. When such a soul becomes ready for change, it receives a specially arranged incarnation for working through karma. These new lives radically differ from past ones. A former tyrant might be born a helpless invalid. A cruel ruler could reincarnate as an oppressed, powerless being. Cayce emphasized this isn't punishment, but a unique opportunity to personally experience one's actions' consequences. The soul essentially retraces its path, encountering the same suffering it once inflicted. A key feature is retained subconscious memories. The person may feel inexplicable fear toward situations or symbols connected to past crimes. Often these souls incarnate during historical periods and in places where their past atrocities are well known, intensifying the realization process. Interestingly, through these trials, many develop extraordinary sensitivity to others' pain, becoming champions of the oppressed. Their suffering transforms into profound understanding and compassion. Cayce noted, such rebirths may repeat multiple times until the soul fully learns its lessons. Each new incarnation becomes slightly easier than the last, showing spiritual progress. This process resembles an elaborate educational system where the soul gradually works through all consequences of its actions while lightening its karmic burden. According to Cayce's revelations, souls undergoing difficult karmic lessons often display certain signs in new incarnations. These people may experience inexplicable fears of specific situations, like panic at certain symbols or locations. They frequently suffer recurring nightmares featuring violence or persecution scenes. Interestingly, many feel strong, almost physical revulsion toward weapons or cruelty manifestations. Another characteristic is unconscious guilt over events unrelated to their current life. They might suddenly weep, hearing of others' tragedies, or feel compelled to help specific groups. Cayce noted these souls often feel drawn to their past crimes' locations, experiencing strange fear-fascination mixtures. Animals and children usually sense their unusual nature, either fearing them or showing exceptional trust. Many feel different from early childhood, seeking rational explanations. They're often drawn to psychology, spiritual practices, or charity work, unconsciously seeking redemption. Their lives are typically full of trials, but each overcome obstacle brings extraordinary relief, like shedding ancient burdens. Cayce stressed that meeting such a person requires compassion without pity. Their trials represent the soul's conscious choice for final purification. Edgar Cayce revealed amazing interconnections between ordinary people and souls working through heavy karma. We're not just observers. Everyone can consciously influence such souls' spiritual evolution. The main tool is genuine compassion energy, directed even toward those committing horrific crimes. Cayce explained that when ordinary people mentally send light to such souls, they create energetic bridges, helping faster realization of true nature. This doesn't justify evil. It acknowledges the divine spark in every soul. The simplest practice is brief prayer or positive thought about all suffering beings, including criminals. Such vibrations reach even the most lost souls, becoming hope beams, gradually dispersing darkness. Group energy practices have especially strong effects when people collectively direct light to dark souls. Cayce warned this shouldn't be forced. Energy must flow naturally, like helping the lost. Interestingly, helping such souls simultaneously cleanses our own karma, breaking violent cycles. Many spiritual teachers after Cayce confirmed, unconditional compassion is evil's most powerful antidote. But maintaining inner protection is crucial. Compassion doesn't mean permitting dangerous influence. The best approach resembles a doctor helping even the worst patient while taking precautions. Edgar Cayce described a special soul category that after death cannot accept its fate, remaining in limbo. These souls, often linked to violent past life crimes, reject purification attempts while clinging to control illusions. They exist as energy clots of unfulfilled desires and unquenched rage, unconsciously continuing destructive patterns. Cayce called them wandering shadows. They may attach to locations connected to past crimes or people with weakened energy defenses. Particularly vulnerable are people experiencing depression, substance abuse, or emotional crises. These souls aren't religious demons. They resemble spiritual addicts, hopelessly clinging to ego illusions. Cayce warned they can trigger sudden, uncontrollable rage, inexplicable fears, or obsessive destructive thoughts in the living. Protection comes from strong energy fields created by honest living, pure intentions, and regular spiritual practice. Interestingly, some eventually awaken seeking help, often drawn to power spots or spiritually strong individuals. In such cases, they become subjects of special helping practices aimed at final liberation from karmic bonds. Edgar Cayce paid special attention to Adolf Hitler's post-mortem fate as a unique example of extreme soul degradation. According to his visions, Hitler's soul after death entered complete isolation, created by its own hatred and pride. Cayce described this space as an energetic trap, where the soul endlessly relives its actions' consequences while deprived of interaction with other consciousnesses. This state's peculiarity is that the soul simultaneously experiences all victims' suffering while fully aware of its responsibility. Cayce estimated such a soul would require at least 7 centuries of continuous torment before showing first repentance glimmers. Interestingly, Cayce predicted this soul's future rebirth in extreme helplessness and dependence, likely in a severely disabled body. This incarnation would begin a long redemption path, spanning many progressively easier lives. Cayce emphasized even such a soul ultimately can purify, though the process would take unimaginably long by human standards. Edgar Cayce asserted, the spiritual universe has no hopeless cases. Even the most degraded souls committing monstrous crimes eventually find their way to light. This purification process may take inconceivably long, hundreds or thousands of years, but every soul eventually begins changing. The key moment comes when a soul first genuinely empathizes with its victims, when others' suffering suddenly becomes its own. Cayce called this conscience awakening the first dawn light in a soul's long night. Afterwards begins the long, difficult redemption path through many specially arranged rebirths. Initially, the soul incarnates in conditions mirroring its past crimes. An executioner becomes a victim. A cruel ruler reincarnates as an outcast. But each new incarnation's lessons grow gentler until the soul fully learns compassion. Interestingly, Cayce believed many great humanitarians and advocates were past-life tyrants who completed this purification path. Their current compassion springs from profound personal understanding of suffering's nature. Cayce stressed, no soul is eternally lost. All eventually return to the light source, even if the journey spans epochs. Scientific confirmations of Cayce's ideas. Modern research gradually finds astonishing correspondences with Edgar Cayce's prophecies. Quantum physics confirms his ideas about universal interconnectedness through particle entanglement. Numerous documented near-death experiences match Cayce's life review process descriptions. People across cultures independently describe experiencing their actions from their victims' perspectives, perfectly aligning with the Hall of Mirrors concept. Neuroscience discovers untapped brain potential, supporting Cayce's claims about expanded consciousness states. Past life research records cases of accurate historical detail reproduction unknown to subjects. Physics theories about time's non-linearity resonate with Cayce's descriptions of past, present, future simultaneity. Increasingly, scientists view consciousness as a universal fundamental rather than brain byproduct. Cayce's once fantastic science predictions gradually find confirmation. These discoveries create new frameworks for studying his legacy, offering fresh perspectives on karmic retribution and spiritual evolution mechanisms. Edgar Cayce's greatest discovery overturns traditional divine justice concepts. His system includes no eternal torment or meaningless suffering. Instead, there's a sophisticated realization mechanism, giving each soul precisely the conditions needed for awakening. Even Hitler's soul, by Cayce's calculations, after 700–800 years of agonizing realization, could begin moving toward light. This doesn't mean forgiving or justifying crimes, but indicates the soul's radical transformation. The breakthrough comes when a soul first genuinely empathizes with victims, when others' pain becomes its own. Cayce called this realization dawn's first light in a soul's long night. Afterwards begins the long redemption path through many specially arranged rebirths. Initially, the soul incarnates in conditions mirroring past crimes, but each new incarnation's lessons grow gentler. This system's uniqueness lies in its absolute precision and individualized approach. No soul receives more suffering than necessary for awakening, yet none avoids fully realizing its actions' consequences. This isn't blind vengeance, but perfectly calibrated spiritual education. Cayce stressed the ultimate goal isn't punishment, but harmony restoration through profound understanding of all life's interconnectedness. Edgar Cayce's revelations offer a radically new perspective on justice and spiritual evolution. His teachings show even the worst crimes don't lead to eternal damnation, but initiate complex purification and realization processes. This system isn't based on punishment, but profound understanding of all life's interconnectedness. Each soul receives precisely the trials needed for awakening. No unnecessary suffering, but no avoiding responsibility. Modern scientific discoveries gradually confirm many Cayce ideas, especially in quantum physics and consciousness research. His prophecies about the soul's nature and afterlife continue inspiring new researchers. If you want to explore this further, comment which Cayce teachings interest you most. Like if you believe this justice approach has merit. Subscribe for more on Cayce's legacy and modern consciousness research. Remember, according to his teachings, our choices and actions affect not just personal destiny, but humanity's collective consciousness field.